course, there's another package inside. We open. Something else? No. So everything's inside. That's the watch. Strap. Another strap, no buckle. There we go. Here's the watch. Oh, look at this, Josh. Look at that dial. I don't know if you could pick it up in the camera, but look at that dial. Oh, and look at that.
Designer note, subject 81. We've all had a pretty difficult journey in our lives last year. It's filled with uncertainty, high expectations, and unparalleled challenges. This watch represents the toughest and most challenging production in this channel's history, and the reason why will surprise you. Sólás is a brand that started development in 2018, culminating in the launch of the Starlight, a unique timepiece that has a very distinct personality. Diyu Wu, the founder of the brand, had a very interesting journey himself, which contributed to what makes this watch truly special. Like, comment, and subscribe for content you'd like to see next. Follow us at Instagram at Design Aruba for behind-the-scenes content. Email us at designateriaviewer@gmail.com. Let's begin with the specifications as usual, the easy part of the review. We measured a 38mm diameter on a 44mm lug tip to lug tip distance. The thickness is very impressive at 9.7mm. Compared to my Movado Museum, which is about 7.1mm, a quartz watch no less, the Solas Starlight impressively compares. The lug width is the industry standard 20mm, perfect for strap changes. The water resistance is 50 meters, which is fitting for a dress watch. Looking at these specifications would seem very pedestrian, and you'd be right. These are specs that we've seen before. Moving to the things that will catch our eye, the lug's design flares out a little bit away from the case, then curves down to the tip. It has an extra facet that provides a softness to the lugs in harmony with the whole case design. This case is nicely polished with subtle fine detailings. For something at this price range, this feels overbuilt and finely crafted. There are some areas where corners were cut to ensure that the profile remains thin and compact, like the display case back, which is a friction fit cover instead of being screwed down. I understand how most enthusiasts would require a screw down case back, but making the thinness the preference here is a good decision. The crown used here is also rather small, coming in at 2mm in thickness and 5mm in diameter. It might be hard for bigger hands to operate, but not cumbersome. All this is really to showcase the fantastic Hangzhou 5000A Micro-Rotor movement. Previous to this timepiece, this Chinese movement is getting very little attention, but this movement deserves every glance it could get. The benefits of having a micro-rotor are having such a thin automatic movement, and by not having a rotor that covers the circumference of the movement, the whole caliber is free to be viewed and to exhibit. There is much to appreciate from the exhibition caseback. The machine-turned Côte de Genève is very pleasing to see. There is such a satisfaction to view the balance wheel at work. The perlage beautifully frames the Micro-Rotor that is also modestly decorated with a slight Geneva striping and etched with the Solas logo. This prototype model lacks the blued screws, which will be included on the public model as it ships soon. This movement lacks a hacking feature that is totally acceptable. It is a hand-winding movement with a 42-hour power reserve that beats at 28,800 beats per hour. So far, we've been dodging the very reason this video was created, the Aventurine Dial. There are two kinds of Aventurine. One is the naturally occurring quartz mineral that can be sliced into thin discs and can be very brittle. The other is man-made. This is done using transparent red copper, ruby, and purpurine glass. When cobalt is substituted for copper, the glass turns blue with flakes of metal that shimmer like the stars in the sky, hence the Starlight name. This has been very difficult to film in studio lighting conditions and quite alters your perception of how it is in real life. Some even remarked it looked like a disco ball and too glittery. But I assure you, that is very far from the truth. It appears blue on certain angles and black when viewed in normal everyday lighting. Indoors, the dial takes on a very different personality as the pitch black dial provides a clear and deep backdrop for the starry shimmer of the microscopic metal flakes. It must be seen in person to be truly appreciated. This visual effect is very much complemented by the highly polished indexes and hands. Since they are polished, they can reflect light in high contrast with the dial, but also absorbs light to absolute obscurity in certain angles, assisting in the spatial feel of the watch. The subdial is also applied properly with a matching seconds hand. At the top of the dial is the Sólás logo that I must say is a little too big for my taste. It cleverly represents light in more ways than one. It is applied, which does play with light nicely, but it also means light in English if you disregard the dashes on top of the vowels. This is of course a proper Irish word that means solace in English. There is a date window at the 3 o'clock position with a black background to match the dial. I like how Sólás used a different index beside the date window and not just cut out an existing one. The strap that comes with the watch is genuine Horween leather that is locally made in Wicklow, Ireland by Turas Leather. This full-grain quality leather provides great comfort and smells quite nice if I may add. These are handcrafted and use as little machinery as possible. By purchasing a Starlight, much of the cost supports the local Irish industry. In the same vein, a surprisingly unique strap is offered as an option made of salmon skin. It has a much more sturdy form and lacks the elasticity of Horween leather, and yet conforms to the contours of your wrist. The texture of the salmon scales provides an unusual facade I've never seen before on a watch strap, but not being too overly attention-grabbing. These have quick-release spring bars, adding swappability to the watch. Both are offered with an inner folding deployant clasp that hides the strap tongue under the strap. This protected this part of the strap from snagging onto things like many dress watches. The buckle is also signed Sólás as a nice visual touch. There are a handful of Irish watch brands out there, but this is a truly Irish watch even by design. The typeface used here have an old folks script vibe to them, while using proper Irish words such as Dilta in Éireann or designed in Ireland. There are even some Celtic knots that accent the caseback ring. By doing this, the watch puts on a distinct personality that is its own. I often say tasteful, but this one shows careful restraint in design and reserves its Irish details for those who look closer. The Aventurine Dial is probably the loudest of its visual directions, but that's what makes this special. No two Aventurine Dials are alike. Much like how the stars in the sky are fixed to their relative positions, the dial's shimmering pattern is unique to every watch. It's amazing when viewed from natural sunlight. Whether it's under ambient or harsh light, the Aventurine Dial will bring delight to its owner. It's utterly amazing how all of these features can be manufactured at a very, very low price. Let's run through a brief overview of the materials and features. We have two sapphire crystals, a micro-rotor movement, and an Aventurine dial, all in one watch. Hyperbole notwithstanding, let's create a visual comparison. The Saxonia Thin Aventurine from Alanga & Sona costs a whopping $24,000. That is a very unfair comparison, isn't it? So let's pick a more affordable option, the Balticus Stardust. This offers an Aventurine dial for almost double the price at $780. What about micro-rotor movements? The PAM 00655 is the cheapest that we could find at $10,000. If you want something around the $1,000 range, you'll have to find a used Universal Genève. It's already a challenge to find watches that could offer these features on their own, but the Starlight offers both for just $477. How in the world can Solas offer this watch for under $500? The answer lies with the word value. As much as value is the point of discussion, it amazingly is the whole point in so many levels. The watch is intentionally designed to deliver the best quality for the cost. Notice, I did not mention the best value for the price because that is all that mattered to Solas. The cost to bring the best Aventurine Micro-Rotor Iris watch to the market. This watch is being offered at near cost simply for the value of making a Micro-Rotor and Aventurine watch accessible to all of us. And finally, this particular specific prototype watch holds a very special value. With a value so immeasurable, the pressure to convey everything that this watch stands for became so challenging. In the world of watch collecting, it represents the solace that we all need during these tragic times. It's a shining beacon of light reminding us of the possibilities that can materialize despite all of the obstacles. As this watch makes its journey from Ireland to Aruba, where it will be part of my own personal collection, it will remind me of recovery. It represents how the human spirit, through comfort and solace, perseveres.